Good evening this time, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're from. Martin from the Philippines. We're here in Real Talk Lifeline. So let's get to it. What is the challenge of the day? Challenge of the day. This is something personal for me. Resentment. So anyone watching the live or the replay, feel free to comment down below if you have any personal experience with this, if you've been through it, know someone who's been through it, and you found ways to overcome this challenge. So all I can share is from my personal experience and what I've been learning so far. So the challenge of the day is resentment. So I'll be sharing because I actually had training today. So it was a rainy Saturday today, and is this? Oops. Here we go. Flip. So this happened earlier today. So I was training with my co-facilitator in training, Royce, and with the Life Kite team, Coach Bam and Karen. So surreal moment earlier. I'll be sharing realizations and key takeaways on that challenge, which is resentment. So what is resentment? Let's start with that. Mine personally came from a lot of anger. Yours could come from some other place like blame, guilt, shame. So it's usually some deep-seated negative emotion, and then it turns into resentment. So that brings me to my first realization actually. One of the causes of this trauma or resentment comes from the need to be right. So that was my first realization or breakthrough. So the need to be right is one of the main causes of trauma, or in this case, we're talking about resentment. So the next breakthrough I got was a lot of this stems from having an unrealistic expectation. So what does this mean? An unrealistic expectation, for me, I'll just share how I came through this realization. It's not obvious at first. So I'll just cite quick examples personal for me. So for example, I'm with family and I go, why can't everyone just get along and support each other? I realized going through this training that that's actually an unrealistic expectation. Because again, in my limited 35 years of existence on this world, families don't get along. That's actually reality. So it was an unrealistic expectation for me to expect that of others, to get along, family included. And then it reminded me of an instance where I opened up to my guy friends, again, closest people I knew growing up from high school, college. I opened up about my depression and they didn't get it. So the expectation of them to understand, even if I thought it was so obvious, that's also an unrealistic expectation. Last example, it was a breakthrough for me, still processing my 9-year relationship. So I was there and I did my best to be there for her during her worst or lowest moments. Then when it came for my turn on the 9th year, when I was down, I was at my lowest, she decided to move on. So feeling that, hey, why couldn't you be there for me when I took a bullet for you, or I dedicated my life and I was there for you? That's actually also an unrealistic expectation. Not everyone will stay. Not everyone will help us back. So, and I'm not saying this in a judgmental way. I may have done this also to other people as well. So, let's shift, or let's move on to what are tips or stuff that have worked to help with resentment. I'll quickly go through this. So the first step actually, if someone is going through resentment, is to recognize. And what does that mean? First, it's awareness. So like, oh Martin, I'm also going through that. Part of recognizing is to also admit it. So I'm still, and what I'm realizing is I have to admit it for myself because I cannot admit it for another person. Maybe this live or me doing this might help another person get awareness, but we cannot force it upon the other person to take that first step, which is awareness. Recognize, admit it. The second step that I found very helpful and I'm learning from my training is to release. So what does this mean? It means to express it, to let it out. Release, one of the keys also here is to release responsibly. So do it in a way that does not hurt other people, does not destroy, does not bring other people down. This is why I'm also doing this live and going through the training. Most people, they just lash out, and I had a hard time trying to figure this out. Is there a way to do it in a constructive way, not destructive way? The answer is yes. So keep watching, or maybe go for the deep dive later in the end. Another step after that is to reframe. So what does that mean? It's shifting from a negative to a positive emotion state. T. Harv Eker, another mentor of mine, calls that the law of utilization, or it's like alchemy, where you turn shit into gold or a very bad experience into a good one. So Tony Robbins, another mentor I'm learning from, he says, what if your worst day was the best day for someone else? So I'll repeat that. What if your worst day was the best day for someone else? Now, he's not cheesy. He doesn't go, what if your worst day was the best day of your life? Because fuck that shit, right? Like, most people can't process that or grasp that, right? We feel it. But I started to realize that, yeah, sometimes my worst day ended up being a blessing for someone else because it helped them in a different way. Even if it helps another person say, hey man, that guy's life sucks so bad, I feel good. I feel so grateful for mine. That's a good thing. That's a way of reframing or transforming something really bad into something really good. So those are quick tips that are helping me going through this process. You could also go further to rebuild or do a long-term change or transformation of your life, and actually ripple effect help others as well. So I'll just stick to that. So to wrap up the live, very random also, I saw this video of Eric Fung, this guy I follow, and it was so random. He said he knew this guy, really happy, you would least expect it. So a close friend of his ended up committing suicide. And then he said one of the messages that hit him was, don't be like me. If you are in pain, don't keep it in silence. So it actually kind of compelled me to do the live today, because I don't know if this is pure coincidence. I saw in another post that today, September 10, is World Suicide Prevention Day. I didn't know that. So it just aligned. So if any of this is making sense to you, again, people watching the live or the replay, feel free to share your personal experiences. Comment below. It might help someone else. Reach out. Comment deep dive down below if this live felt too short. If you want to share your own challenge that you're going through right now, I will listen. I'll just listen first. If you have time or the space in you for feedback, you want to find a way to not be stuck anymore, I'm willing to help. So type deep dive down below if you want that. I'll reach out to you. Thank you. I love you. And I will see you next time.